Hello, we are still reading Wonder, and we left off where Bio is describing her genetics, her family tree, and we'll see how that connects to the story. So we'll pick it up with Genetics 101. Not one person in the exotic mix of my family gene pool has ever shown any obvious signs of having what August has. I've pored over grainy sepia pictures of long-dead relatives in babushkas, black and white snapshots of distant cousins in crisp white linen suits, soldiers in uniforms, ladies with beehive hairdos, Polaroids of bell-bottomed teenagers, and long-haired hippies, and not once have I been able to detect even the slightest trace of August's face in their faces. Not a one. Let me make this over here so it's in the middle. Not a one. But after August was born, my parents underwent genetic counseling. They were told that August had what seemed to be a previously unknown type of mandibulofacial dysostosis. Boy, that's a mouthful. I would have to practice that, and I've only read it in my head, so I haven't said it before. Oh, that's a big word. Caused by an autosomal recessive mutation in the TCOF1 gene, which is located on chromosome 5, complicated by a hemofacial microsomia characteristic of OAV spectrum. Ooh. Sometimes these mutations occur during pregnancy. Sometimes they're inherited from one parent carrying the dominant gene. Sometimes they're caused by the interaction of many genes, possibly in combination with environmental factors. This is called multifactorial inheritance. In August's case, the doctors were able to identify one of the single nucleotide deletion mutations that made war on his face. The weird thing is, though, you'd never know it from looking at them. Both my parents carry that mutant gene, and I carry it too. I wonder if she worries about that. The Punnett square. If I have children, there's a 1 in 2 chance that I will pass on the defective gene to them. That doesn't mean they'll look like August, but they'll carry the gene that got double-dosed in August and helped make him the way he is. If I marry someone who has the same defective gene, there's a 1 in 2 chance that our kids will carry the gene and look totally normal. A 1 in 4 chance that our kids will not carry the gene at all, and a 1 in 4 chance that our kids will look like August. If August has children with someone who doesn't have a trace of the gene, there's a 100% probability that their kids will inherit the gene, but a 0% chance that their kids will have a double dose of it, like August, which means they'll carry the gene no matter what, but they could look totally normal. If you marry someone who has the gene, their kids will have the same odds as my kids. This only explains the part of August's that's explainable. There's that other part of his genetic makeup that's not inherited, but just incredibly bad luck. Countless doctors have drawn little tic-tac-toe grids for my parents over the years to try to explain the genetic lottery to them. Geneticists use these Punnett squares to determine inheritance, recessive and dominant genes, probabilities, and chance. But for all they know, there's more that they don't know. They can try to forecast the odds, but they can't guarantee them. They use terms like germline mosaicism. Ooh, that's another big word. Chromosome rearrangement or delayed mutation to explain why their science is not an exact science. I actually like how doctors talk. I like the sound of science. I like how words you don't understand explain things you can't understand. There are countless people under words like germline mosaicism, chromosome rearrangement, or delayed mutation, countless babies who never who'll never be born like mine. Wow, it sounds like she's worried about this. I think these words are fascinating, and it's interesting how that I've read these words before, but I've never said them aloud. So you then realize how hard they are to say. Out with the old. Miranda and Ella blasted off. They attached themselves to a new crowd destined for high school glory. After a week of painful lunches where all they would do was talk about people that didn't interest me, I decided to make a clean break for it. They asked no questions. I told no lies. We just went our separate ways. I didn't even mind after a while. I stopped going to lunch for a week, though, to make the transition easier, to avoid the fake, oh, shoot, there's no room for you at the table. Olivia, it was easier to just go to the library and read. Oh, see, here's another thing where that space made it to where it thought this went with this. So it should have read, oh, shoot, there's no room for you at the table, Olivia. And then it was just easier to go to the library and read. Spacing makes a difference. I finished War and Peace in October. It was amazing. People think it's such a hard read, but it's really just a soap opera with lots of characters. People falling in love, fighting for love, dying for love. I want to be in love like that someday. I want my husband to love me the way Prince Andrei loved Natasha. I ended up hanging out with a girl named Eleanor, who I'd known from my days at PS22, though we'd gone to different middle schools. Eleanor had always been a really smart girl. A little bit of a crybaby back then, but nice. I'd never realized how funny she was. Not laugh out loud, daddy funny, but full of great quips. And she never knew how lighthearted I could be. Eleanor, I guess, had always been under the impression that I was very serious. And as it turns out, she'd never liked Miranda and Ella, so she thought they were stuck up. So that's where we'll leave this. In her new routine at school, breaking away from old friends. We'll see how that works out next time.